So hi guys, very good afternoon to all of you. So very good afternoon. Hope you are doing good. So in this session, I'll first recap all those concepts that I discussed in last class. Then I'll go through some new concept. Okay? Okay. So let me share my screen. So last class we discussed about one page, that is index HTML. Then we discussed about app component. Right? Okay. Uh, App component. Okay. Then I told what is component. So these things we discussed in last class. Hope you got these concepts. Okay. If you don't also, then no issue. I will again revise those concepts. Okay. So then you will come to know, or you will make clear over this. No issue. Okay. So as I told in last class, index HTML means it's a startup page. That means when Angular application first time gets loaded, that's a start page. Okay, which you can see. So index HTML, there is a selector, there is app root. A selector means it decides which concepts or which component gets loaded. Okay. So app root means we have to, that compiler has to check for a specific component. Okay, because in every component it has its own selector. Okay, depending upon the selector the component gets loaded. Okay, so in here, if I open this my folder of Angular first Angular project, okay, here you can see that component, app component, and here if I go to app component, I can find the selector app root. Okay, so this app root we have put it in index HTML. So depending upon that selector, this components first time gets loaded. Okay, so these things, okay, are very simple. So now I'll discuss some new concepts here. Not new, I'll tell you some more concepts. Okay, so okay, so here if I look at the app component, you can find, as I told in the last class also, there are 4 parts: app component TS, app component HTML, app component CSS, and app component spec TS. Okay, so for timing you just ignore this file because these are 4 files. Okay, but the main part is app component.ts. If you open this, you can find this. Okay, some code has been written like import component, this @ component, and export class. Okay. So I'll tell you these things one by one. So as I told, Angular is a framework. For developing that framework or for developing one project in Angular, you have to write the code, right? As I have written here. So in HTML, you have to write your code in pure HTML tags. By using pure HTML tag, you have to write your code in HTML, right? This is pretty simple. And CSS means you have to put all the classes. Okay. As I told, component means it has 4 parts. See, component, okay, it has its own HTML. Its own HTML means a component represents on page. Okay, the view part, that's called view. Okay, again it has its own CSS, right? That means all the styles you want to give for a particular page or for a particular component, you have to write it here. The CSS means this is styles, right? Now the last is TS. What is this actually? This TS means this is for maintaining that page. Maintaining that page, right? Maintaining the page. or maintaining the component. What do you mean by maintaining? Maintaining means if I come to this page, here up component means here you have to maintain the page. Which page? This HTML page. Okay. Now look at this TS file. Okay. So in this TS file there is a class. There is a class, export class up component. There is a class, right? And on the top of that class, some code has been written like @component and some import part. Okay. So for this timing, I can tell you one thing. This part, this export class, okay, you just think as a class in C, as a class in C++ or Java, it's a plain class, plain or simple class. Okay. Class means what? What is a class? Class means we know it has its own properties, it has its own method, right? Properties and methods are wrapping to make a class. So this is a simple class. Okay. So in every component, okay, in every component you can find some classes. Okay. Without class we can't make one component. So that means for creating one class you have to first take one class. That class we can convert it into one component. So what is the most important point to remember here? Component means what? It's a class. It's a class with some properties. Okay. What is a class? Very simple. Class means it's very simple. I think this thing you know. If you also don't know, that's fine. Class means we know it's a group of properties and methods, right? For example, suppose I take one employee class. Suppose you think about an employee class, or I want to create an employee class, then I have to put some properties like employee ID, okay, employee salary, employee address, employee name. These are the properties. What are the methods? Method means how to get the employee data, how to set the employee data. For this you have to create individual methods. For depositing, taking salary also you have to create one method. Like that you can create different methods depending upon the requirement, right? These are called methods. So class means it's a group of properties and methods, and in class you can find constructor, right? You can find destructor, like that. Some extra things are also there. Okay. Similarly, in this class, here also in component also you can find a class. The class name is up component. Forget about that. So class means here in this class also you can put some properties, you can put some methods. But the problem is that, the thing is that, difference is that here the syntax will be different, right? Suppose in C++ you have to create class like class A. In that you have to write some properties, write int A, int B, float C, like that. But here as it's a TypeScript, as you are using TypeScript here, because TypeScript is also a language like C++, like Java. Okay, JavaScript is also a language, but TypeScript is something different from JavaScript, right? So just make a note here. We can create class. In Angular class using TypeScript. Why TypeScript? Because Angular framework has been designed on the top of TypeScript. On TypeScript only Angular framework has been designed. So you have to write all the code in TypeScript. Now what is TypeScript? You have to first understand what is TypeScript. TypeScript means it's a language. Okay. It's a language. Okay, like JavaScript. Now, like JavaScript. Okay, but more user friendly. What does it mean? It means what? In JavaScript, actually, if you write JavaScript code, okay, or if you write C++ or Java, okay, in C++ in Java, you can directly write the syntax as class, you can directly write the syntax as method properly like that, but JavaScript is something more complicated. Okay, as a user perspective, it will be more complicated to write the code. Okay, because you don't find for creating one class, you don't write the class like as you are writing in Java and C++. But TypeScript what? TypeScript does what? TypeScript is exactly similar as C++ and Java. The way you are writing the code in Java and C++, the same way you are supposed to write the TypeScript code here, or you are supposed to create class and methods, all those things here. Okay. Okay. But TypeScript has been designed on the top of JavaScript. This is the one thing you have to remember. TypeScript has been designed on the top of JavaScript. That means by taking JavaScript only, TypeScript code has been designed. Okay. That means internally, if you compile or if you break the code of TypeScript, okay, internally it will give you JavaScript code. Okay. So that process is called transpile. That process is called transpile. Transpile. What does it mean? Transpile means the TypeScript code has been transpiled to JavaScript. Because TypeScript has been designed on the top of JavaScript. Okay. And the thing is, we have taken the JavaScript code. By taking the JavaScript code, we have converted it into TypeScript, and if you transpile the TypeScript code, okay, it will give you the JavaScript code. That means the compiler executes the JavaScript code only. It will not execute the TypeScript code. This thing you have to remember. That means if I write TypeScript code, okay, the compiler executes the JavaScript code, because the TypeScript code will transpile into JavaScript code, and that JavaScript code will be executed by the compiler. But now the question is, why you are writing TypeScript code? Where TypeScript code is more user friendly, because in TypeScript code you can use the same flavor, like as you are writing C++ or you are writing Java, the same way you write the code. Okay, so it will be more user friendly. Okay, right? Because in class, whatever concept you are using, like constructor, destructor, the same thing you have to use here in your TypeScript. Okay, but syntax will be something different. Okay. So here I will use some TypeScript concepts here. Okay, here I will write some concept inside the class. If you want to create a variable in C++ or Java, you have to write int a, int b, like that. Okay, but here the variable name will be, you have to first write variable name, then you have to write the colon, write some colon, you have to write some data type. Data type you can write suppose number, and same semicolon. But this is the way in which you can create a variable. For example, suppose I want to create a variable, right? Suppose I'll write name. Is type, I can give string, because here in TypeScript the data type, these are the data types. Name, okay, clear? We can give name string, ID number. So these are the